Welcome into another episode of Indiebnb. Today I'm joined by two of the Fantomen, Alan and Matt. How we doing? How's it going?
Yeah,
Dude, I'm
good.
doing good. I'm alive.
Awesome.
I'm alive. I wish I was dead, but I'm alive.
Which is kind of counteractive to the band name.
Yeah.
I like it. So I met these two guys over at we were at our buddies' Dream Phases. They were playing a show, and the Fantomen opened up. They were all opening up for Timothy Erie, and so we got to talking after the show and invited them on. These guys are veterans of the Atlanta scene, so excited to talk with them a little bit more about their band and everything going on with them. So guys, I mean, Fantomen, how did we start it up? Where do we get the name? Give me the details.
Well, we're I'd call us a horror rock band. We don't give a shit anymore, so we only write about like universal stuff, universal horror movies. Back when we cared I'd go all the way back to 2001, probably, when our original band started, and Matt was in it.
Jesus.
John, the singer, was in it, and a different drummer, and they started it. Eventually I joined on in 2003, and that eventually became a band called the Futurists, and we did pretty well in Atlanta and toured a little bit. I left in 2006, and they continued for a couple of years after that. Our manager was actually Tim Sweetwood, the guy who created Shaky Knees. So he's obviously made a better name for himself in music.
I think we propelled him into his grand career.
Yeah, there'd be no Shaky Knees without Fantomen.
Like that.
So Matt and John kept playing in a really great band called Brain, but I guess that petered out in about 2015, and then I sort of was doing career stuff and just had a breather and was like, I got to play music again. So I just put it out there in the world. Like, I didn't even contact these guys. I put it out there in Facebook, and they were the first ones to say, hell yeah. So I thought, we already know how to play together. So we just started messing around with stuff. I remember the first practice session, we were called Bell Breakers at the time, and I'll say why that name changed in a bit. But Matt, it was me and Matt. We were in this room, and we together wrote the skeleton for the song Witchery, which I think was our first song that we finished. And I've still got the iPhone recording, which is just, I love that. And so we had a different drummer named Matt, and yet another different Matt. It's the third Matt
Yeah, right.
I've been involved with. So we were writing music and trying to figure out what we were all about. We literally just shoved words together and came up with Bell Breakers. I like this album called Blues Breakers that has Eric Clapton and John Mayall, so I wanted breakers in it. So we're like, what goes with breakers? And Bell sounded all right. So we played a couple charity shows, like Low Pressure, just to get our feet wet. And after that, our drummer left, and we got our current guy, Kurt, who we've known from our Marietta and Atlanta music scene days, and that clicked really well. So we really started playing, and we recorded an EP at Damon Moon's Standard Electric recording studios, and then started getting some pretty good shows for us. But every time we were on social media, the venue would try and tag us, right? They kept on misspelling Bell Breakers as Ball Breakers, which is a local all-female AC/DC cover band, which is fine. I love AC/DC, but
yeah,
it just made it impossible to deal with anything. So we're like, all right, this shit's got to go. And then at some point, I think John came up with Fantomen because it's the Swedish word for phantom, and we'd started writing these horror rock songs.
Oh, we're gonna miss out on this gem. Say that again, Alan.
What?
Say that again. You kind of cut out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So John came up with the name Fantomen because it's the Swedish word for phantom, and we realized all our songs were horror inspired, and from there we just started, putting skulls and motorcycles on everything we possibly could. and that's so far worked out pretty well for us. We just what's great is we don't feel beholden to like any expectations of trying to please whoever or trying to make this a career or whatever. We just want to put out stuff that entertains us and entertains people, and that's sort of what we spit out over time.
I like it. So you mentioned horror rock. Like, that's something that's unique, and I've heard couple different kinds of rock, but horror rock's one that I haven't delved into a ton. As you can hear, the lovely fire engine going in from 10th Street over here. But horror rock. I mean, you guys are watching a whole lot of horror movies. Is it like inspired by that? What inspires somebody to write horror rock?
Definitely, yeah, I think it's a little bit of that for sure. I mean, our lead singer just got married, and I think the attire was what was it? Elegant vampire
chic. Yeah.
So I think it's in his DNA, and I think Alan it kind of leaned into that as well with his own writings.
Yeah, and there's also there's a couple different movies with really good soundtracks of like kind of similar stuff. So the best example is probably Return of the Living Dead, an 80s sort of B movie classic, and it's got really great shit on there that sounds thematically is similar to what we do. So eventually we had a skull the size of a human torso made we call Skulltron, and he lives with us and plays shows with us. And he recently had 2 children who made their debut at Boggs when you were there, and that family will grow, I think.
Very nice. Skulltron, how'd you guys name him? What inspired you guys wanted to put, I think it's definitely something that's memorable. I for sure, I think probably the first thing I said to you when I came up to you after the show was like, man, where'd you get the skull? And what's the deal here? And so who made it? What's the story behind, wanting to have a giant skull on the stage? With you.
Well, our sculpture artist buddy named Eddie Farr made it. He's a really fantastic, interesting artist who's doing a lot of installation art involving computer and data processing. He's got something going on the some of the signs near Mercedes-Benz actually right now. So he's doing really cool stuff. And I was talking about wanting to eventually build an entire giant skeleton, and he did the skull. And then we kind of got lazy, and that's all it's been. Eventually there will be arms that will surround the stage. That's where that came from. And sometimes we make his eyes light up, so that's why he's Skulltron. Sometimes not.
That's awesome. Well, as you guys have gotten inspired, obviously movies and other things, like what are some bands that you guys have felt like kind of taken to write the writing process, and when you listen to something, you hear it, you're like, man, I love that, like I want to put that into what we're doing. What are some of those people that you guys have been influenced by?
So for the things that come to mind first are Ghost, who's kind of like a modern day Black Sabbath meets ABBA meets Kiss, and they do a lot of costumes and crazy stuff. Queens of the Stone Age, and
yeah, I think it's a lot of Queens.
Yeah, there's a lot of Queens influence, and Black Rock, and like that's kind of like the more angular rock that we started with, and we're trying to move more into like a kind of a groove based rock that like is not so complicated and feels a little more just like with a deeper beat to chill to. So like for that, I listen to a lot of Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, and this Uncle Acid and the Dead Beats is a big one. I told you before we started recording, I went to go see them in March and blew my face off. It was great.
That's awesome.
I feel like a lot of times practices kind of devolve into Metallica covers.
Well, see, John likes to insert like country and Broadway sometimes. So every once in a while we'll play like the the soundtrack.
Even some yacht rock in there.
Some yacht rock, yeah. You never know what inspiration is going to come from. The soundtrack to the Brave Little Toaster is something that we draw
Brave
from.
Little Toaster
Somehow a lot. Yeah.
Ooh.
The soundtrack was by this genius composer named Van Dyke Parks, who worked with the Beach Boys. So like, you actually listen to the songs, you're like, oh my God, this is complex and like, it's surprising.
Gosh, I hadn't thought about the Brave Little Toasters so long. Now I'm gonna have to go back and listen back to the soundtrack and hear this vibe. So you guys are obviously inspired by it seems like a litany of things. Like when you're trying to come up and what's your process as far as like, all right, we want to write sit down and write a new song, or sit down and kind of play around and work through some. What's the writing process look like? Is it start with you, Alan, or is it Matt? Does it start with you, or what's it look like?
Alan tends to kind of record some riffs on his own and kind of disseminate them to the band. And so we'll go two ways. We'll either go with him kind of coming to a practice and kind of mapping it all out. We just kind of try to fill in the spots, or we get to, the jam side of things, where someone like Kurt will just start, rocking a beat, and then we'll just start layering on top of that. And 9 times out of 10 it's terrible, but that one time you're like, yeah, all right, let's work through that, let's play through that, and something good comes out of it. So it goes both ways, of planned as well as kind of inspirational.
I would say that in the beginning it was more songs constructed or partially constructed by me, and now as we're getting to a better idea of what we want to sound like, I think the extemporaneous writing usually works out a little better for now. And we're trying to, anyways. We have rehearsal tomorrow night. We'll see how it goes. It's been a while.
And then lyrically, I feel like Alan and John really kind of meld minds and try to figure out.
Wait a minute. I have to tell a story. So we just recorded 3 songs, and they're great. They're like more, the EP we have out now, I stand behind it. It's awesome. But these 3 new songs are like a lot closer to where we are now. And there was this one song where, so John's very good at just completely making crap up live, so we'll have a song that's like 3 years old. And if you ask him to go record it, he's like, man, I need to write lyrics. And you're just like, what have you been singing? Like, I frankly don't know. So we tracked everything to this new song called Castlevania. And he was like, I need to write lyrics. Alan, can you do it? So in like 20 minutes, I'm just like, oh my God. And that was it. So I'm taking
in studio, yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking credit for that one.
We're on the company time here.
I know, right?
Gotta get it done. I like it. Hey, well, sometimes there's that lightning strike bit, of inspiration, or the putting you against the wall probably produces some of the best stuff. So
for sure, man. Yeah.
But you talked about a little bit about layering and kind of that part of it. That's something that I notice a lot in y'all's music, and kind of hear a guitar and then I hear kind of a different part of it. And so is that something as you guys are progressing, and you kind of are evolving as a band, like, is that something you guys are trying to do more of, is like, continually layer? Like, I like that thing you said about groove, being a groove band. I was listening to it earlier when I was on my commute home, and I was like, man, like, they are groovy, like way different. Like if you took a picture of them, that you'd think, all right, punk rock for sure, but then you listen to it and it's like much more, relaxed, soothing groove. So is that something, the direction y'all are going to, or?
I would actually say, kind of the opposite. And there's a bit of context behind this. Our EP, we were thinking about different people to record us, and basically we had these 2 options: Damon or what is it called, Matt? Madison Studios.
Madison.
Yeah.
With, Tanner Hendon.
That's Tanner Hendon's place, and he was drummer for Matt's last band, Brain, and they definitely probably would have been the more obvious choice in terms of style. Damon does a lot more indie stuff, and I thought, well, gosh, that would just be so interesting to use someone that's not, really in our strike zone, if you will. And also he was cheaper, so that was probably the actual reason. But I like the artistic reason better. Anyways, I was kind of driving, that process, and I'd never really been in charge of producing a song before. And I think that if we were to do it all over again, we probably would have stripped it down a little bit in some ways. So we are taking a different approach to these next 3 songs, which we'll be releasing as singles next year, and going for more of a live sound and really only adding stuff on top sparsely, except we did some kind of atmospheric stuff. So like in this Tom Waits song we cover, we like found some chains or something and used that like as a percussion thing. But in terms of like the guitars and bass and stuff, kind of tried to make it sound a little more live.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, like, that's something that if you guys are we're playing more live. Let's record it live. Let's keep it actually how you guys want to hear it. So that's awesome that you guys are kind of moving in that direction. One thing I do, as I've not heard the unreleased stuff, but I want to spotlight one of your songs. Obviously I heard it live, when you guys were going with the Dream Phases, but Motorcycle with a Skeleton, it seems like something that's very, very, very deep in part of it. So looks like we lost
lost Matt
for a second. Yep, there he's back.
He's back.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
Oh, good. So Soup to Nuts, like, talk to me about, creating that song and then, getting it to the point where, I heard it and, we hear it now on Spotify all the time. So what is that, what that process look like, creating that one specific song?
So I remember that was one of the earlier ones where I sort of had, I think I had one of the riffs written, the one that goes, da 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 da, and that's all I had. So we were actually, so this was probably 2015, and we packed all our music stuff up and headed to a cabin that my family has in Middle Georgia and just played in it all weekend and fleshed that song out. And John added a lot of that, as I recall. And like, we were just trying to I think this is where we came up with the horror rock thing, really, because we were just like, God, trying to name this song, hate coming up with names, they're all taken. And then John just says, well, it's Motorcycle with a Skeleton on it. And we were like, you mean skeleton with a, you mean, what do you mean? Like a skeleton riding a motorcycle? No, motorcycle with a skeleton on it. We're like, yeah, just as dumb as possible. Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, that's where that came from. And we don't play it that live that much anymore, but I hope to start playing it again. But I love that song. Probably, I mean, there's a very long and gratuitous guitar solo in it. So that's probably why I like it. But yeah, that was like that moment when we were like, this song is called Motorcycle with a Skeleton on it. That's when it clicked that like this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's kind of what led to probably Gacha de Goro is
right,
the next skeleton song.
Yeah,
I like it. Kept the skeleton theme going. There must have been something going on in that Middle Georgia cabin. A lot of skeletons around there, kind of a haunted, haunted vibe.
Yeah, we have a song called Lights in the Woods that's inspired by kind of being out there. I remember, so that was one of the areas in Georgia that got hit by tornadoes back in 2011. So before then, there were a lot more trees. And I was just over there, I think with my then girlfriend, now wife, and it was like late, and I was drunk as hell and trying to figure out something to write about. And I looked off across the river, which is by a river, and I'd looked that direction for 20 years. And all of a sudden I saw a light I'd never seen before. And like the trees were going like this, and I was like really freaked out a little bit and started writing that song right there. That was years before Fantomen, but yeah, that was like sort of the early breadcrumbs of where we got to now. And now we just try and write about, not even necessarily scary stuff, but just like, oh, remember that awesome, like Castlevania, wasn't that game awesome? And we have a song about like dead Viking soldiers on a field and Valkyries taking their souls up to Valhalla, that kind of stuff. And
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you never know, like that like, I can imagine any kind of artist has that moment where it's like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be called, Motorcycle with a Skeleton. I'm looking off, lights I've never seen before. Like that's the stuff right there. And like, people, it affects people as I saw you guys. So, well, obviously I want to talk a little bit more about, the live scene in Atlanta. We kind of touched on it when we were talking outside of Boggs, but like, you guys have played in a lot of different venues here, some that I've been to, some that I haven't been to. And so I guess what's y'all's favorite place, or was your favorite place to play, whether it be still in operation or not, around the city?
I want to hear what you say first, Matt.
Yeah, this is tough just because I think there's like different reasons to like a place, whether it's like the amenities and they have like a nice, green room or something, and they give you like enough drink tickets to actually enjoy yourself,
Yeah.
or if it's like a good like crowd and vibe and whatnot. I feel like a combination of those two is probably the Earl. It's got like that vibe, but they actually, take care of you. They'll actually feed you sometimes. It's got a pretty chill, kind of green room, back room to kind of zone out. But at the same time, like if once that room gets like rocking, it's a good feel. You're kind of on a low stage, so you're kind of in the mix still with everybody. And so I think out of all of them, I'll go with the Earl for right now.
I would probably say that if I had more experience playing there, like playing really good shows there. I really don't, but well, at least not compared to where I'm going to say our best shows with this band have probably been at Smith's Old Bar, but that was before the pandemic and we haven't played there since then. But from like 2016 to 2018, we played there really frequently and always did super well. They treated us well, sounded great. So like there's the downstairs, right, called the Atlanta room. And when we were first billed to play there in 2016, I was like, oh God, because I hadn't been there in a while, and it used to be this really crappy room, unless you were just like a guy with an acoustic guitar. That was really what it was made for. But if you had a full band in there, which they sometimes did, it was a pain. But they'd redone it, and it was a good stage, good sound, and like 100 cap room, so it was really easy to fill. And of course, the music room upstairs sounds awesome, and it's a great setup. We've played both of them multiple times as this band and had a fantastic time. Sadly, everyone we knew there has left, so but we mulling, reconnecting over there. I think 529, after they redid their stage, was a really, really strong one. We haven't played there also since the pandemic. Our friends that booked us there all moved to Boggs, and that's where you saw us. And that was our first time playing on their new stage. And I think we need to probably play there another time or two to really. It's got some quirks. I think it's quirks to figure out, but we kind of went in there assuming it was like any old stage. But you have the bar, and then you go down several steps. And I'd never played it. Well, if I had played a stage like that, it was 20 years ago. So I didn't realize some of the issues that would cause with sound and lights. But I'm eager to go back and try and figure that out, because the only scene of which we're aware, is there. Sort of turning to your question about the scene, there's a lot of different ones now. It's pretty fragmented, but the one we got involved with, this is another me and Matt story, man. Me and Matt are the lifeblood of this band, from like a actual, getting out there and doing stuff thing. We went to see Buzzards of Fuzz at the Star Bar, and I told Matt, like, hey man, come with me. I haven't been in the scene. So I took a big break from music, and so I hadn't talked to musicians like in a way to try and get to really know them in a while. So I was like, man, Matt, come with me. I don't know. And he's like, okay, dude. So I was sitting there, we were at the Star Bar, right? And then it was like, okay, I'm gonna go try and say hi to these guys. And Matt was like, dude, just come to the green room, whatever. So we just like walked back there, and they were so cool. We met Van and Ben, and they sort of introduced us to what we kind of knew as the scene, which included, like we've met a bunch of different bands through there. They have a kind of mini festival called Fuzzstock, so we're close with people from Twin Criminal, who's a really fantastic, very technical band. There's a femme punk rock band called Small with a comedian and musical artist named Sam Severin that I'm close with.
Nominat.
Nominat. Oh shit, yeah. That's a prog rock band about space gnomes. So like they're our brethren. Actually, their guitarist is an excellent artist, and he's doing our cover art right now for our.
They have the most intense merch. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Nominat.
Nominat. Yeah, they're great. They're hilarious, but also very good musicians. So it's kind of just, whoever you play with, and we really kind of have to re-engage because a lot of those bands are gone after the pandemic. There was this band called Sex Farm who like was similar to us in a lot of ways in terms of just like, who cares? Let's just do dumb jokes. And we played a show with them at 529, and they were supporting the release of an album called Other Bands Blow. And I was just like, yes, that's the energy that I'm going for here. But they broke up, and I'm still friends with their guitarist Go Cool, who has like a psycho jazz project called Hallucinojerks now. But so the Buzzards of Fuzz guys have a small PR firm now called Fuzz Firm, and we're engaging with them to have them put together like a electronic press kit and a website, stuff that I've been too lazy to learn how to do, and also help us release these singles. So we like them, we trust them, and they're obviously they're very, very competitive pricing, which is nice. And they have a booking company called A Rippin Productions that that's kind of our, if we wait around and don't do anything, we'll get calls from them to come fill in on the show or whatever, which is a really nice setup. We're hoping to that's kind of what we've been doing since the pandemic, is just waiting around for good opportunities. We played Fuzzstock 3 about a year ago. It was pretty fun. And then that show you saw with the Milties and Dream Phases and Timothy Erie was like our first show since then. We haven't played again. I think we're going to keep it on the down low until next year when we're ready to like really push these new songs and go from there.
I like it. Big plans. The Fuzz Firm coming at you with all the PR and everything you need. I like that.
They're new, but like I could, I've had lots of conversations with them about, they basically just did it all. They've been doing this all themselves, and they're like, let's try and do this for other people. And I was like, I'll try it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. That's awesome. Well, that's awesome. We got kind of, obviously always good to hear, as we talk to bands from all over, but, sometimes the local part of this, and, we kind of don't get into it as enough. And, so always good to kind of get an idea of, the scene here and where, where we can go and see great shows. You mentioned Smith's and the Earl. I've been to both those places, and, I would definitely echo your sentiments about, where, how they lay it out and how the show goes. So for sure a big fan there. But we'll get into Pete Peterson's party pack of questions here. The thrilling.
Who is Pete Peterson?
Pete Peterson's my alter ego.
Oh my God!
Combination between my regular person and a little bit more animated version of me. So. But excited to get you guys into Pete Peterson's party pack. So it'll be this or that questions. I think we go Matt, then Alan.
All right.
And so it's going to be quick now. It's going to be quick.
All right. So gut reaction, just like whatever comes to mind first.
This or that. So mainly food based. And the final question is not as much of a rush. So you'll know when the final question is coming. So
all right.
Pete Peterson's party pack questions. 20 questions. Here we go. Right now. Cake or pie?
Cake.
Pie.
Salad or soup?
Soup.
Salad.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Definitely coffee.
Coffee.
All right, couple of coffee guys. Are aliens real?
For sure. Definitely. Absolutely.
Mathematically speaking, they must be.
All right. Acoustic or electric? I think I know the answer to this one.
I'm going to go electric on that one, yeah.
What is it, a fucking acoustic guitar? Is it a chair?
Grandpa's guitars.
Grandpa's guitars.
I like it. Wahoo or IHOP?
Waffle House.
Waffle House, but like a hair.
Yeah, okay. Chips or pretzels?
Definitely chips. Pretzels are terrible.
Chips.
I have some pretzel haters here. Is magic real?
If you believe hard enough, yeah.
Yes, but I'll tell you why. One time, a comic book writer named Grant Morrison had a comic book that was not doing well. So he ordered his readers to go through a wankathon where they all would masturbate at a given time, and that would release magic into the air that would increase sales, and it did.
Wow. Guerrilla marketing in more ways than one. I like
That's
that.
right.
Oh yeah, right.
Toaster strudels or Pop-Tarts?
Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts.
Okay. Sunrise or sunsets?
Sunsets. Sunrises are usually the result of poor decisions.
Sunset.
Sunset. All right. A night in or the night out? What do you like better?
I mean, I'd say a night in these days, but this night in's really pushed that need for a night out every once in a while.
I still prefer the 9 out, although usually I'm punished for it in one way or another.
Like that. Dogs or cats?
Ooh, I'm a cat guy right now.
Dogs.
Rare cat guy appearance. I like that. Bigfoot, is he real or not?
Yeah, he's real, and there's a museum up 575 that tells you all about him.
I don't think he is, but I think that's a reflection of a diseased and imperfect world we live in. He should be real, but he isn't.
He should be real.
When you walk into a party, are you more likely, and your jam comes on, are you more likely to do the robot or the worm?
I'll robot.
Probably at this age, the robot. 10 years ago, the worm.
Okay, I like it. Are you guys more ninja guys or pirate guys?
I impersonated a pirate for a long time in my early 20s, so I'll go with pirate.
I'll go with pirate, the very first venture capitalists.
I like that. I like that. Bagels or donuts?
Donuts.
I got to go with donuts.
Donuts. Is love at first sight real?
Definitely, yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Tenders or wings?
Ooh, man, tenders are easy, but wings are definitely more tasty, so I'm going to go with wings.
I like chicken tenders better. That's so childish. It's so childish.
That's so childish.
I like it. I like it. Ranch or blue cheese with your chicken, your tenders or your wings?
I'm a blue cheese guy. Blue cheese.
I'm ranch unless it's true blue cheese, which has like psychedelic properties that'll give you strange. It's the real mold that was grown in a cave. I'll do blue cheese.
Okay. All right. So you eat a lot of ranch then, it sounds like. All right.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a I call it like if Taco Mac was good near me, it's called the Kirkyard. I live in Kirkwood, and their ranch is so good that like they make it by the gallon. So I don't eat it by the gallon. I say that to illustrate how much demand there is for it.
I like it. Okay, so the Kirkyard Ranch. My colleague Tash lives by Kirkyard as well, so I will have to tell him about it. All right, final question of Pete Peterson's Party Pack of Questions. You guys ran through a couple of bands earlier, but some bands, just each of you guys give me two of people that we need to check out that may be local, that may be people that you don't know or you do know. Either one, but give me a couple of bands that each of you guys feel like would be awesome to check out and try to get on the podcast.
I tell you, one of my kind of favorite indies, he kind of goes way back to our time back in the day when we would go see bands, in our late teens, early 20s, but he's still out there doing it. And his name is Michael Flynn.
Oh man.
He was a lead singer of this band called Slow Runner back in the day, but he's a solo guy now, and he plays with just some people from I want to say like South Carolina, and just like his melodies and his words and lyrics and like the way he puts it all together is it hits me hard. It's got that kind of like emo vibe that you still remember from when you were a kid, and and even though things aren't so emo these days, it still kind of resonates. So there's that. Alan, you go while I think about another one.
As far as local bands, trying to think of who's put out something that really was like, oh my God. I think I got to go back to Small, because they put out really energetic, passionate punk rock, and like I listened to it and I'm just like, holy crap, like I know I can't do it, I don't know how to do that, but if I did, I'd feel very pleased with myself. And I'll think of kind of maybe a more like who really matters to me right now, but I'm going to make you go now, Matt.
I'm still working on my thoughts here. I need to be able to pull up my iPod or my
damn it,
apps
man.
here, but I don't want to like get out of this app. So I don't wanna, I'm gonna defer again.
For me, the band that has most been like, oh my God, there's a band called Mutoid Man, and it's metal, but it's this great marriage of math rock and like aggro dumbass rock. And there's this there's a lot of cool groove to it, but there's also a lot of like, it's almost comedy. In fact, their guitarist, I forget his name, but he was part of the house band for this New York web-based late night show called 2 Minutes to Late Night, where the host is called Arsenio Hall, and he's like got on a black suit but like the corpse face paint, and they had these hilarious sort of variety shows. Like, for example, they had the guy from Baroness, John Baisley, on, and they played like a metal version of Purple Rain. And then over the pandemic, they did remote stuff, and they had me in stitches. They did a kind of obscure song by AC/DC called Riff Raff, but they did it like deep tuned, and they had the lead singer from Clutch on vocals, Neil Flynn. No, wait, Neil Flynn's the guy from Scrubs. I forget what Neil's last name is. But like in the background, they had the cheesiest references to Australia you could imagine, like Outback Steakhouse bloomin' onions and like fucking kangaroos and shit. I've not laughed that hard in a long time. So Mutoid Man is the other one for me.
Mutoid Man.
Mutoid Man.
Nice. Well, I'm blanking on the spot right now, so I'm just gonna.
Matt doesn't actually listen to music. We don't.
That's all right. Hey,
we don't need him.
We got a good one. We got a good one in Michael Flynn. I got Small, the local Atlanta band, and then Mutoid Man. Of course, I'm going to check out. It sounds like I need to check out Arsenio Hall as well.
Hell yeah! 2 minutes to late night. Yeah.
2 minutes to late night. I like that. One thing I think you guys might appreciate. Have you guys ever heard of Necrogoblicon and John Goblicon?
No. Tell us.
You guys should check out. You guys should check the I think a very similar vibe to Arsenio Hall, 2 minutes to midnight. John Goblicon does a show called Right Now. A lot of metal artists go on
it. This looks great.
And I've seen Necrogoblicon. I hope one day, John, if you're listening, to come on the podcast. It'd be amazing. But they're unbelievable. I think it would definitely worth y'all checking them out. They do something called goblin metal. So in a similar vein as the horror rock genre. So definitely check them out. But guys, thank you so much. It's been an awesome time, and I can't thank you guys enough for coming up. Anything, obviously, we're looking forward to 2023 for you guys getting things going. So anything that's set in stone you guys want to talk about now, or anything, or we're getting look for announcements coming soon out of 2023.
Yeah, be on the lookout. We're putting together a plan. I think all of 2023 will be sort of a rollout of, we recorded 3 new songs. We got a different producer's name's Chris Sampson, and we hooked up with him through the Fuzz guys, and really just loved the process of recording with him. He was very like in our genre, and I think we just finished the mixes. They sound great. So we've got a song called Castlevania. We've got a song that we were going to call Dave Grohl's Cock, but I've consulted a copyright attorney, and he advised me to find a different path. So we're probably going to call it Grim Job. And then we've got a a cover of Going Out West by Tom Waits that we play live all the time that people really dig. So we'll be releasing that, every couple months next year, and probably have a show related to each one. So that's that's what we're most excited about. We're trying to write some new stuff, and now that it's like we're in a space where you feel like you can actually book a show and it's probably going to happen, which is nice. We feel a lot more eager, I think, next year after the holidays are over to get back out there and really figure out what happened after the dust settled, because other than Boggs, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, just start kind of emailing some places.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, we'll be on the lookout. We'll be there when you guys announce anything, and we'll look forward to seeing that. But guys, thank you so much for coming on. We're excited to see what happens next, man.
Well, yeah,
yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome.